What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Live Composing Show. I'm your host, Stephen Malin, and it's good to be back with you guys. It's been 2 weeks since we've gotten to meet, and I miss you guys. Hope you're all doing well in this insanity of a COVID season that we're all kind of trucking through. A few announcements as we kick off for today. First and foremost, we are going to be diving into Realm Weaver tactics. We're going to be working on mixing in Pro Tools today, which is something we don't get to do terribly much. I'm excited to show you some of my fun tips in there. But two things that I want to shout out today, and these are both pinned in the YouTube live comments below if you want to check them out. Right now, with Simple Samples Audio, Beard Blade Toolkit and Monster Sanctuary Toolkit, which are these large collections of 16-bit orchestral and electronic instruments that I've used on those respective soundtracks. Bundled together is called the 16-bit Toolkit Bundle, and that is actually 80% off right now through Audio Plugin Deals. I have a partnership with them, and they're slaying it, and it's getting a lot of love, and I just think it's the coolest thing in the world. Because it's always fun when, you know, I make these sounds, and I use them for my own projects, but to know that so many other composers are also finding a lot of value out of them is really, really cool. And so for any of you who want to write in that Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance style, I can't think of a better way because I literally crafted them for that purpose. And so that's just a very easy way to pull them up in Contact 6. Have to have full version Contact for those, but 80% off. That's the most they'll ever be off. So I hope you take full advantage of that. If you've been kind of on the fence with either of those two, grab it. And that's in the link below. That's at Audio Plugin Deals. And notice I am losing money by not sending you directly to simplesamplesaudio.com because honestly, guys, I want to give you the best price possible, the best quality possible, and if that means like I have to, lose some money in the process, that's fine. But I really want to get those tools in your hands because they're quite good. And then the other thing I want to mention real quick before we get started is becomeagamecomposer.com, recently rebranded from Screen Music Academy. We have a free Discord community, but more importantly right now with the course website, becomeagamecomposer.com, there's a brand new course on there that you might find interesting. So if you are someone who you're not full-time at this yet, writing game music online, I'm here to help you do that. So I have a course called, what do I call it? Blah, 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 brain fart. Not good. It's called Game Composer's Guide to Finding Work Online. So basically, I walk you through the 10 steps, which is a guide, which I lead you through the 10 steps of how to become a game composer. But we actually do a deep dive into each of those, and we talk about each of those specific steps, and I have exercises for each of those, and we work together to actually earn $69,000 per year as a game composer, because ultimately that is what we're all after, and I can lead you the way. And I hope that is super valuable for you. So take advantage of that link as well. So enough announcements. Hope you guys are doing great. What's up, Marie? A bunch of others of you are hanging out here too. So let me know in the chat who's hanging out. I'm excited today because Realm Weaver is something that if you've joined me here on YouTube for the last 5-6 months, that is a very quick project where I wrote 25 minutes of music in a month and had it all orchestrated and literally recorded by an orchestra, the Budapest Strings. Many of you were there for the live session. And now I have all the tracks back, and I have the soloists who have recorded their parts. So I have solo violin, I have solo cello, solo hammered dulcimer, and solo hurdy-gurdy, which are medieval string instruments. And then Aeralie Brighton, who has sung some vocals on here as well. You might recognize her from the Ori and the Blind Forest series. Really cool. So this is really turning into an amazing soundtrack, and this is just phase 1. And I've already been in talks with the developers of phase 2, which is going to be a similar type of treatment of, we hope, more live instruments, more orchestra, and doing that whole thing. This soundtrack is estimated to be about 2 hours in length, and we're probably going to knock it out over the next year or two. So we're kind of doing it in phases and chunks. But the purpose of phase 1 was to create this first 25 minutes of music, 9 tracks, so that we could put this into the demo and pitch it for a publisher and do the whole thing and to really get the ball rolling. And from what I've seen so far in the art and the gameplay and stuff, it's looking really cool. It kind of has a blend of Fire Emblem and Final Fantasy Tactics so far, but it also has this like more gritty, darker, more mature art style. Still cartoony, hand drawn. It's really fascinating, and I'm excited about this. So phase 2 is likely to start in January, February, somewhere around there of 2021. So I'm pumped for that. And so in the meantime, today my goal is to actually finish up the rest of the tracks. I've already mixed 4 of them, and there's 5 more to do today. And I've already done like the orchestral part, but now I want to mix in the solo instruments and just show you my process, because we don't get to do Pro Tools too much on this show, because Pro Tools is an amazing tool for mixing. It's not the greatest thing for composing because it's not super good with MIDI, but it's amazing in its batch editing functions with audio. So you're going to see in just a second things like grouping and time stretching and these tools that just make it so fast to get some cool stuff. And hey, what's up, Chance, Micah? So glad you guys are here. Really, Chance, you didn't get a notification? Man, I don't understand YouTube sometimes, to be honest. But oh well, I'm glad you're here. So let's do it. And just a forewarning, today's going to be, I don't want to say a slower day, but it's going to be a little bit more laid back because I'm going to be opening sessions multiple times. But I hope that this is just a nice opportunity for you guys to see inside my world. As I like to often imagine, you guys are just hanging out in my chair over here. I literally have a chair in the corner of the studio, and just imagine you're sitting right there, hanging out, chatting with me. Because let's be honest, music's more fun when you have more people involved. It's really fun to compose by myself, but I always love and cherish these moments where we get to have these conversations and, get a peek behind the curtain. Because, 10, 15 years ago, 17 years ago when I started this, I didn't know anything, and I had to learn so much by just trial and error. Or I had to pay $1 gajillion to go and spend time with industry professionals and hang out in their studios and learn the hard way, So I hope that this can be a really cool thing for you guys. What's up, Chu, Manuel, Amaya? Marie says, but at least you're here. And Chu says, listening while delivering my route. Awesome. I love to hear that. Manuel says, hey, thanks for the subscribing, Christian. Manuel says, hey there, first live stream here, but love your videos. Yes, I love this is your first live stream. Maya says, hey, Steven, pumped to see some mixing. And Chance says, that's got to be a big chair to fit all of us. I know, right? And I got loaded up on some iced coffee today, so I need a little bit of an energy boost here on Thursday. Thursdays are like a hit or miss. Either I have a ton of energy or none. I'm kind of recovering from having no energy. So here we go. That's why I'm a little, I feel like I don't have a lot of energy. I hope I'm giving more energy to you guys. But here we go. Let's jump in. Normally I'd say, let's pop over to Cubase, but today it's actually Pro Tools. So first things first, let me make sure, if any of you know anything about the routing of Pro Tools, it's a little bit different than other DAWs. You have to use Meta Plugin, which is like it's called a wrapper, and then you can put plugins inside of it. So my recorder today, which is the Vox & Go recorder, which I talk about all the time, gotta turn that thing on. So if at any point today you guys don't hear audio, it's because I forgot to hit that start button. So please yell at me so we don't waste any time. But anyway, let's jump in. So the first thing you'll notice that we need to understand is we recorded with the Budapest Strings. And the Budapest Strings is a pretty large ensemble of violins. I mean, it's a string orchestra, right? So it's violins, first and second, violas, cellos, and basses. So typically when you have these recordings, they will send you all the files, and it's actually important that you record or you create your own Pro Tools session before the recording, because in the most streamlined way, if I go ahead and create my markers and my tempos and my time signatures and things, then they can literally open up my blank session, which has a Uri click track embedded in as an audio file. Then the musicians get to hear that while they play, and then everything is already in its proper spot. So one of the advantages of Pro Tools is you can use, if you right click on anything within Pro Tools, any region, you can go to matching alternatives, which is this glorious menu that literally has a record of every recording throughout the day. So they're labeled by the take, they're labeled by the sub number. So if I wanted to exchange the double bass, take 9, edit number 11, I could exchange just that. And that alone, if there were no other features to Pro Tools, that alone would make this worth having, because the orchestra recorded usually 3 or 4 takes, and not everyone's perfect. And sometimes we want just one isolated measure to replace. And so one of the quick ways you can do that is by using our grouping functions here today. I'll show you the grouping menu real quick, which is kind of hiding down here on the left. You can create your own groups of tracks. And so right now, if the orchestra is on, it's going to select all of the orchestra tracks within that particular region. Isn't that so cool? So it's going to actually select all of them. And then at any point, if I wanted to go to my clip list, it has quite literally every take, every audio file from the entire session for that one particular track, right? So this is, we're looking at the Jingles track today. So I could at any point select that one chunk, and then I could go over here to find within the clip menu over here. And I could type in, for example, what is that? 14_16. And so now it's going to give me the full list. And I could go even further by doing the find, and I could go to take 7 like that. And now it's literally going to give me the entire group, which I think is pretty amazing. It's going to give me the entire group that at any point I could just select them all like this, drag them in, and now I have sufficiently replaced an entire measure or 15 measures or whatever. And doing that, I can merge together my favorite takes. So I've already done that, and that is what I did as soon as I got all of the orchestral recordings back, is I merged together. I like that part from that take, I like that part from that take, and kind of made my own as realistic as possible. I mean, I didn't do that very often because they're amazing musicians, but if there's a measure that I heard a really wrong note, or it's slightly out of tune or something, then I would probably replace them like that. But that's just one of those cool things that is very unique to Pro Tools. And then we'll uncover some more. Whoops. Oh gosh. You're also going to see me make 1,000 mistakes here today. I love Pro Tools, but it has some weird button things like what? Why is maximizing my window shove it to the other screen? I don't know. But anyway, so that's kind of the way that this works is, I got all of the strings, and so I threw them all into the session, and they're all labeled and beautiful looking. But by using this grouping function, now all of my strings are connected. And it's a really good way to make quick edits by dragging and dropping. Another quick tip here is at the top of Pro Tools, at any point I can shuffle with the escape key on my keyboard. I can shuffle between all the tools. My favorite tool is actually to combine these 3 tools together. That's why they're all highlighted blue. So you'll notice as I move my mouse up and down, it changes cursors depending on where my mouse goes. And I think that's the fastest way to use Pro Tools, is to have all the tools on at once. And that way I can just do really quick scrubs. I can do quick isolation things. So it's really, really fancy. The other thing is I like to always make sure my clips are, my gain info is enabled. It's probably pretty small for you, but you can see how it says 0 dB. So if I ever wanted just the double bass on that one section to be louder, I can increase it. You see that? And I can see the waveform and everything. That's not what I want to do, but it's a really good way to work around. And they also delivered the tree mic, left, right, and center, and what they're calling the outer rig, which is like their big. So they have a tree mic, which has 3 mics. They have the outer, and then they have the left, right. So they actually gave me a bunch of different mic positions, which is super helpful. And then you'll notice in the mixer, they very kindly already did the panning. So you'll notice how, like the strings, the first violins are very much left, not all the way, but they're panned pretty left. And you notice how as we get more to like the violas, they're more centered and right. The celli, which are, let me find them. They're called violin cellos here. Yep, the VCLs. They are all the way right. and then the double basses are literally 100% right. So you can kind of see how they've already done the panning, which means right out of the box it's going to sound good. But for our purposes today, the biggest thing that I needed to do was on the master, I put a 2C Aether Hall 2 reverb of 16%. I put this on all of the tracks, followed by a limiter set to negative 0.1 dB, and then the meta plugin, which is how you can hear my audio today. That's it. That is it. I'm not going to get overly fancy, because if there's one thing I've learned from, doing music for a long time, is whenever you get live musicians, let them breathe. Let them have some musicality. So you don't want to throw a bunch of EQs and compressors and things on here. We're not going to use ozone. We're not going to like overly produce this, because live musicians record really well. What we're really working on is volume control and panning. Those are really the two things that will have the most impact. And then the third thing would be the reverb. Just in case something's super dry, I might need to give it its own reverb. So with all that said, let's take a look. Today we're going to work on, first we're going to work on the Jingles, which is actually 8 sub-tracks. And let's have some fun. Oh, that sounds really cool. So periodically you're going to notice that we have a bunch of different solo tracks hiding down here as well. Oh, I think I just realized something. I need to change. Yum, bum, bum. Oh well. Let's do this. I noticed that some of my shortcut keys here are going to be driving me crazy. There we go. Okay, cool. Yeah, but you'll notice on here that we have live dulcimer, and we have Aeralie singing, and I already pitch corrected this one so that it could be the correct note for the orchestra. And later we'll have some violin. I don't think there's any cello on this track. And then the only MIDI in literally the entire soundtrack so far are these drums right here. It's it, but you can kind of hear how it really matches the tone nicely. So here's the drums by themselves. And I want to double check one thing before we get too far into this. I'm hearing some crackly pops. Let's change my bit rate, buffer size. Maybe that'll help. Yada. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So we're going to be flying here today. So the way that I can quickly export that is just to click with the hand tool, holding shift, and I can select that entire section, do my key command for that section. So I'm going to do Jingles, Final Mix. Let's pick a folder real quick. We're just popping these out as soon as they're ready, because there's 8 within this one track. And then there we go. Do offline. And you'll notice how fast Pro Tools is. It'll export stuff crazy fast. Okay, let's move on to the next. And I want to double check that I have everything in here. Okay, so I need to import, before I get too ahead of myself, I need to import the Hurdy-Gurdy. Let's see, we have Jingles. So let's get that in here. And I might have to take my face off for a while just so you guys can see the whole screen. Pro Tools is not very kind with its window resizing. But this is the Hurdy-Gurdy. Oh, cool. We already have Hurdy-Gurdy. It's right there. I can live with that. So there's my Hurdy-Gurdy. There's my violin. There's Aeralie. Just making sure I have all the parts. That way I'm not leaving anything out. And I think we're good. And Dulcimer should be in here too. I love the Dulcimer. Yeah, cool. All right, I think now I just have to mix. Okay, so notice in something like this, how this is very, it's important for us to time things and to really work with each individual clip. So now that I've kind of set generally on the left side over here with my different volumes, I want to make sure, Chance says I'm way quieter than the music when I'm trying to talk during it. Okay, then I won't talk during, and I'll actually turn my music down. Hopefully that helps. How about that? Thanks, Chance. I won't talk over my music. But here, yeah, this is where I'm going to really use my clips. And the final mixing thing is I do have, right here in my grouping window, I do have the violin because the violin was recorded a close mic and a far mic. So there's 2 tracks. And I like to keep them about, let me fix this. I like to keep them about 6 dB apart from one another. It might change per track, but that's a pretty good general amount. And that way they're pretty even. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, let's do some mixing. You guys are here for music, not to talk the whole time. All right, violins, why are you so wackadoodle? Yo-da-da-dum. There we go. So notice that whenever I have like these little solo moments, I like to do a little fade out at the end and at the beginning when needed. Like this, I just do Control F. I can create group centered fades. So here it is with the Hurdy. Now what I'm going to do is with the Hurdy-Gurdy, this is pretty essential, I'm learning, is we got to do some Melodyne, which is a pitch correcting tool. Hurdy-Gurdy is tuned a little bit differently because it's an Eastern instrument and it's very whiny, like bagpipes. So it's very important that for any of these moments, you can kind of see the tool right here. What I'm going to do is hit the transfer button right here, and then I'm going to click on where that clip starts, and here we go. And let me continue this process just for a moment. I'm going to hit all the spots the Hurdy plays. There's only one more spot. Hit the transfer button again. Okay. And because they're both monophonic, I can move around and mess with those. And a quick, easy way to do that is just to select all within Melodyne, like this. And we go to this little pitch center, do 100%, hit OK, and now everything should be perfectly in tune. Way better. And that is a game-changing tool if you've never used it, especially for all of these solo instruments. Here it is in context, and that should actually save the day. So now we got to work some magic on this dulcimer. Make sure everything else is in time first. All right, so this clip is really, really loud. So what I need to do is just for a second, I'm going to turn down some of these, the big mics. No. Ya-da-da. Yeah, that is stupid loud. There we go. Okay, cool. So let's go over here and let's get rid of some of that fuzz by just doing a quick little fade out. Okay. And then let's get Dulcimer back in. We're going to turn him down a lot. What's funny is here's an instance where the strings, the Hurdy, and the dulcimer were all recorded slightly differently than I had on sheet music. And I have to correct somehow, right? I have to choose what's the right way. So what I'm thinking is, so 1, 2, 3, yeah, like that. So here's where we get to use a fancy tool in Pro Tools. So I'm going to chop this to where that becomes the downbeat. I'm going to put it exactly where I want it. And then what I'm going to do is take this little chunk and use my favorite tool in Pro Tools. It's called the TCE, the time compression something. And you just do that by holding down this tool, turns into TCE. So now I can time stretch just that clip to fit. It's going to sound amazing. So I want that tremolo to be a little bit longer. So I'm going to stretch it till it hits. There it is. And to safeguard myself, let's turn the tool back to where it was. And we're going to select just the transition bit, hit crossfade. It's going to yell at me that it doesn't have enough space. And then we're going to do it anyway. And what's happening is it's going to fade those two, like the original with the time stretched, to be seamless. And now it perfectly starts the tremolo when we need it to, and it has the hit when we need it to. And as a bonus, we were able to turn down just the hit clip to negative 4.6 dB. Now we have ourselves this cool little line. And you would have never known that that wasn't the way it was recorded. Now the only thing I'm going to change is I want to see if I can do a crescendo. I think it's much more tasteful. That so he doesn't start the tremolo as loud. Bum 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 bum. So here's what I actually need. I want to stretch the clip to the left now, ever so slightly. And if it yells at you, it's because I have a crossfade. So I have to get rid of the crossfade, stretch it. Oops. Make sure I'm not on grid mode, I'm on slip mode. That's a little bit too much. This is just some fine editing. You can kind of hear it. If you stretch it too much, it starts to destroy the sound. Cool. I like that. Sounds very musical and natural. So let's pop that back. Hey, what's up, Jacob? Welcome to the live stream. Glad you can make it. Cool. Sounds like a winner to me. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right, so that's going to be right there. I like to give a little bit of space. Let's export that. So this is, I called it the wrong thing earlier. Of course, they're all jingles. This one is level up final mix. So we're going to call it jingles, level up, final mix. Which means I need to briefly, oh, now I understand why it's like clipping on me, because Cubase was accidentally open this whole time. Whoops. That's why my machine's like yelling at me. So this first one was actually the Victory Fanfare. Cool. Let's move on. And I have to admit, the Jingles is my least favorite track in this entire thing. So that's why I wanted to do it first. Let's get this out of the way. Then we can have a bit more fun with the more melodic battle tracks and stuff. So thanks for sticking with me here. All right, so cool. Level up is done. Hopefully we won't have any more audio pops now that I got rid of stupid Cubase. Come on. Cool. So notice here how you can barely see it. If I crank up the volume, you can see it. See all those little squigglies? That's like the orchestra sitting there in silence. So we want to make sure that we're not getting that in the actual track. So this is really the beauty. I don't want to get rid of all of it, otherwise it won't feel natural, but I want to get rid of some of it and fade out the rest, fade in the rest, like that. And this way that dead space is not trapped in our tracks. I mean, the reverb is going to create its own space anyway, so that's why I try to capture, when I export, try to capture some of this extra space. That way, we're hearing a little bit more. And let's see if you can see there you go. Now you can see the dulcimer down there at the bottom. I think it's another situation of just being too loud. And I want to do a slight crescendo, the fade in. Cool. I do think this could use a little bit of volume. There we go. Hey, that's cool to hear, Chance, that you like Fire Emblem. I freaking love Fire Emblem. It's not a tactics game. I guess it is a tactics game. What's the best way to describe it? Yeah, I have to say, I'm thinking more old school Fire Emblem. I haven't played Three Houses yet. I think more than any other Fire Emblem game, it kind of breaks the mold by doing the third person RPG style walking around stuff. But I'm talking, two talking heads, dialogue, and then you jump into a combat. It's that same kind of thing. All righty. I think this one's done. Very ambient. I don't really need them to line up. The idea was bum, 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 to land on the cadence together. But it works quite well. So let's capture some of that reverb. Right there. That should be good. But yeah, this one's called Acquiring Treasure. Cool. All right, next is Broker a Deal. Success. I can already tell that you see all this little fuzz in the middle. I want to keep some of it, but I want to get rid of some of it too. So there we go. That's the orchestra. You just don't want the fuzz, because then you can't really end the track cleanly. Such a beautiful dulcimer line. Let's turn it down a tad. Oi. Sorry guys. These menus keep popping up because my my stream shortcuts are combating with Pro Tools shortcuts. Ooh, Sacred Stones is a good one. My favorite Fire Emblem is actually 7 or 6, which is, the Game Boy Advance, the first one. Lovely. This little fade out is a little too extreme. I want to keep more of that air. Okay, there we go. This one's called Broker a Deal. Success. So these are like all the little tunes that play during combat. Or like you're trading with somebody, that kind of thing. Cool. So here, I want to make sure that these are separate. Same idea as before. Just doing lots of fade outs. Nice. That's great. Okay, I told you we're gonna fly. Because when the orchestra plays great, I mean, there's not much work to do. It's just lining stuff up and making sure the volume levels are good. Really, Chance, you've only played 3 houses. Man, from what I can tell, it seems to be the worst one, because the others have such a high bar. But this is also coming from the guy who considers Breath of the Wild to be the worst Zelda. But I consider Majora's Mask to be the greatest Zelda. So you got to play more in the series to get a better taste for what is good and what's not, I guess. Man, those strings destroyed it. So good. That's when you find a secret. Probably need to line these up better. Oh, I love that. It's like sucks it up. Yeah, you can hear them breathing. You hear it? Right, so we can't keep that in the orchestra, but we can fade them out. Nice. That works really great. You can hear this reverb too. Really, really helps. All right, this one is called Finding a Secret. Chance. It's true. I haven't played 3 houses. I have no desire to, though. I really don't like... I don't know what to call it. It's like, I hate anime schoolhouse anything. I hate it. I just hate that concept of going to school and that's a game. Sorry. I just... Blah, 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 blah. In other news, though, the latest game that I'm playing right now is Sekiro. Shadows Die Twice, and it's phenomenal. I love From Software games. I haven't made up my mind yet if I love it or hate it, but I'm trucking with it. I've only played like 10 hours, but It's kicking my butt, but I'm finally getting pretty good. I'm a hardcore Dark Souls fan, but I also hated Bloodborne. And unfortunately, this game leans more heavily into the Bloodborne because it's all about parrying and blocking. And I hate defense in games. I just want to be the guy who goes, gets the strongest weapon, and beats everyone up with brute force. But that's my play style in any game. So I don't like the having to sit back and defend and block a bunch. But it's just kind of funny. It's different though. It's different. Everyone has different strokes for different folks, right? That's why there's so many different types of games out there, which is very exciting. I'm glad the whole world is not just like me. Oh, Chance says I basically hate one of his favorite game types. You know what? And that's fine. There's a place for that. And you're not alone. There's a lot of people who love that style, but it's just not something I like. Oh my gosh. Micah says, as a very long-time fan of Fire Emblem, I have to say Three Houses is a strong contender and top-tier Fire Emblem game. Fate is easily my least favorite. Oof. Wow. I will, Micah, because of you alone, I will look into this. And Chance. I mean, come on. But you have not played all the other Fire Emblem games. I'll take advice from anyone who's played all of the Fire Emblem games. Or most of them. Oh, you're so funny. Okay, we got to clean up the timing here. Does this give anyone else like Zelda vibes right here? Like Windmill Hut vibes? That's cool to hear, Chance. I'll give it a chance. I don't currently own a Switch, but that might change soon. We'll see. I'm very confused. I hear a dulcimer, but there isn't a dulcimer. What am I hearing? Let me mute some stuff. Maybe it's the Hurdy. It's all those key clicks. That's cool. That's what's driving me nuts. Okay. Let me make sure that the orchestra matches the violin. Do a little fade in. Okay, that's what's bothering me so much. This fade out is not nearly enough on the violin. What's interesting here is part of mixing is making sure that the way it sounds is uniform. One of the most challenging parts about this is visually and audibly are two very different things. So visually, it looks like the solo violin and the string orchestra are fading out at the same pace, but they're not. So I actually have to do a different length and a different style of fade out for the violin for it to like everything to fade out in the same manner. So that's what I'm wrestling with here. Is I really can't trust my eyes. I have to listen to my ears. Listen with my ears. Do you guys hear it too? It's like the violin just needs way more of an intense. I'm actually going to change the reverb type or the fade out type. And this is another cool Pro Tools thing. So you can double click on any of your fade outs and change it to a different type. So I'm going to try equal gain. See if that helps a little bit more. Nope, that feels way less natural. But I am going to play with it a little bit. Maybe more of that shape. Nope, I want the opposite. I want it to fade out sooner. So what I want is... There we go. like an opposite parabola like that. Beautiful. And another cool Pro Tools thing is you can actually change when the fade out happens at any time. Cool. And I'm going to do something similar to the rest. Beautiful. Almost there with the violin. Perfect. That's it right there. So now I have to make sure that this hurdy-gurdy has the same emotional impact. And you'll notice how I've already done a bunch of little shifts and crossfades to try to hit the timing better. So already the first note's off. And really the only solution is to chop it off and to do a crossfade. Oh, I understand. Okay, so here's what's happening, guys. I'm over here messing with the Melodyne track. That's why this is so screwed up. So let me turn Melodyne off. Let me fix the problem, and then I'll turn Melodyne back on. So it sounds like everything is just too early. So I'm going to do some surgery here. So I'm just crossfading between two different tracks that I moved. You don't always have to do this kind of work, but a soloist against an orchestra, the orchestra wins. Because it's not monophonic, right? You only get what you get. Cool. And this definitely needs the same kind of fade out treatment here. Probably the equal gain again with the bottom parabola. Something to that extent because it's so loud. Maybe not. Maybe just a longer S-curve. That's it. It never feels forced or fake. Last item here is the dulcimer. Which is still too loud. There we go. Cool. Let's hear it with the strings. Yeah, that sounds really good. I'm happy with that. Let's give a little bit of room for reverb. Let's get this one out. It's called Quest Failure. This is if you fail, if your party loses. What do you guys think so far, huh? No. The most Stephen Malin line of all time. I honestly, if you wanted to like what does my music sound like in a 5-second clip, that's me right there. it just something about that harmony. I know what it is. It's octatonic. It's the octatonic scale. It's because we're landing on the flat, right, instead of which is the scale. But we is a sharp, I guess, B major, instead of what we're expecting, that minor chord. So that's my style in a nutshell. Is I like to end a phrase on an unexpected note, which just so happens to be most of the time what the Metroid series uses all the time, which is the octatonic scale. And speaking of Sekiro, whatever it's called, pretty much every From Software game uses that tonality as well. Excuse me. I was blowing dust off my keyboard. All right. Thanks. Oh, really, Chance? You have a hard time liking Sekiro? It has all of my favorite elements of Dark Souls, but it like forces you into a parrying type of combat, which I don't like. So what I'm finding is I'm still finding ways to cheese all the bosses with like my typical Souls style, which is aggressive. It's like hit, run away, heal, hit. Like it still works so far. It probably won't work later. Anyway, here is the last one, Quest Victory. All right, we got some work to do here. Thankfully, it's only two things. It's the violin and the orchestra. So here's the orchestra. That's perfect. I love that. The challenge then is going to be making this violin sound good because the timing was quite off. So I've already gone through and whoops. We can't export Quest failure yet. Hold up. I forgot to do Melodyne. Even though it did sound pretty good. Let me correct that real quick. Melodyne. So the thing with any auto tuning or auto pitch correction is once you change the rhythm of something, you have to go back and do this whole transfer thing again. That way it knows what file it's working with. There it is. Pitch, 100%. Notice I'm not using pitch drift. Otherwise, it would sound like T-Pain, which we're not going for. We're not going for like the fake style. We want very, very natural. Oh, it sounds so good. That's perfect. And to put things in perspective, who said it? Manuel says the soundtrack of Bloodborne is awesome. I agree. I freaking love all of the From Software soundtracks. They're all so good. And that's hugely inspiring to me. I think the original Dark Souls soundtrack is the most inspiring source for this soundtrack right here. Even though this game has a lot of Final Fantasy Tactics elements, certainly does. It has a lot of those elements gameplay-wise, but tonally, this is a very dark game. It's all about like depression and sadness and leaving loved ones and people dying in your party and having to like go through the weight of that. It's gonna be very cool. I'm so excited for this game. So the music has to have this like weight to it, and I feel like Dark Souls was the perfect, specifically the Firelink Shrine. And you'll hear it in the very next track we go to. I hope we have enough time for all these today. But the world map, which is the very next one we're about to go to, is 100% inspired. Like I did a deep score study of Firelink Shrine, and I studied why does it sound the way it does. And I tried to mimic that the best way I could with a live string ensemble the same size as the original. So I really went to the nth degree to make sure that it has that feel. So I hope you'll hear that and you'll feel that inspiration. Anyway, let's get... Okay, this is so close, but there's a weird warpy thing happening. I don't know if you hear it. It's the triplet. It's right there. Sounds very fake. Let's see if we can figure this out real quick. Yeah, that's super warped. I think we're going to have to grab the original. So this is where clips come in, right here. Let me find the actual name of the thing, and all I have to do is find the original version. I don't have to go find the file again. So this is called Jingles 3 Violin. Let's just find the appropriate. Let's see. Let's find it. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to take 4, 4. That's before I screwed it up. Oh no, it's already butchered. Weird. Guess I have to go back in time a little bit more. Let's find number 1. This is bizarre, guys. I have to go find it again. Just take a second. Yum ba da ba bum 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 ba da da dum. There we go. Here's the original. Without any of the time stretching. That's what happened. Okay, so he actually played the track at the wrong tempo. So that's why it was all warped. Let's see what we can salvage here. I'm honestly thinking about speeding up the orchestra. Think that'll work. It's possible. Wow, that almost works. I'm thinking if I split the difference, let's speed up the orchestra a little bit and slow down the violin a little bit. Yeah, I think that's going to be the solution. So let's chop it up real quick. And the way to do this is we just need to make sure the waveforms look pretty similar. Wow, that's scary close. Can you hear that? That's pretty cool. I mean, this is just the magic of Pro Tools. So it's actually too fast. Cool. So really the only change that needs to happen is this little bit here needs to start later. We can do a very small fade out where it doesn't feel forced. And then take the last note right there. Go. Da-ba-da-dum. That's so much better than it was. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. How cool is that? Like this can still be. Tiniest bit squished more. Like this. No. Turn down the last note. Make sure we're fading out. That was a cool compromise to slow down the violin a little bit, speed up the orchestra a little bit to find that sweet middle. The only thing I want to do, I want to shrink down this a little bit more, the release. There it is. Cool. Turn it down, fade out. Cool. I think that's it. This is gonna drive me nuts. It's literally just this part. I want him to be stretched. Yeah, cool. Deal. Love it. Okay, so that's Quest Victory. Sometimes you just gotta try stuff. This is the beauty of, well, audio editing. You can do a lot with audio. You can't do it today. Cool. All right, we're done with that. Dun dun da da dun. Hey Jude. All right, so we are done with track number 1. That by far was the hardest one because it had 8 little pieces. So let me take a sec and make sure those are all in their correct folders. Yum ba ba da dum bum bum bum. Shaka da da. Ya da da da. Pretty happy with those. I'll get those off to the team soon. But now let's move on to World Map. This is another tricky one. Let's load this sucker up. And before anyone screams at me, turn on Voxingo. There it is. So let's see what else we can make happen here. So we should have violin. We should have hurdy-gurdy. And what I haven't added yet is the dulcimer. So let's find World Map Dulcimer. There it is. So this is like my first time even putting this stuff in. So if you guys remember back when I wrote this thing in Cubase, you'll remember that I wrote it as stems. That way we could make a bunch of different versions. So there is no right way to do this, but there are multiple variations we can play with. So let's just have some fun here. Hey, what's up, Tristan? You can always go back and watch what we've done so far. Don't worry, you're not missing much. Got more tracks to do. Pretty sure that was the original melody. Let me find. Let's see. And hey, what's up, David, Tristan, all you peoples coming in at the usual time. You haven't missed much. La da da dum. Just kind of explaining my process. Now we actually get to do the process. I'm looking for a world map. Okay, here's what happened. So if you guys want to hear a fun little story, let me load this in real quick. It's a fun story. Not so fun for me, but fun for you. So once upon a time, I recorded Hurdy-Gurdy. I'm still learning how to write for Hurdy-Gurdy, but apparently it's very much like, let's just say, a violin versus a viola. You might not know the difference, so you write for one thinking you're going to get the same result, but it's just not true. There are different types of Hurdy-Gurdys out there, and they all have different ranges. So basically, I wrote an alto Hurdy-Gurdy for this entire soundtrack, and then asked Enzo, who's my guy for that, to record on his Hurdy-Gurdy. But little did I know that he was using a soprano, like a violin version. So all of the notes were an octave higher than I intended. So we had to go back and re-record a bunch of things. Such a pain. But some of my original, like soprano Hurdy-Gurdy tracks are still in the sessions. So if you ever hear a Hurdy-Gurdy that's like screaming super high, that's where it comes from. But now I have both. I guess it's kind of cool. But that was a very unexpected turn of events. He had to borrow his friends in order to play this stuff. It's kind of crazy. Hear the difference? It's like actually an octave lower. We turn this up so we can see what's going on. Turn off my crunchy note dissonance. Isn't it amazing how much a quarter step can destroy a mix? This Hurdy-Gurdy is not out of tune with itself, but it is an Eastern tuning. It's super sharp compared to the strings, which are in Western tuning. Isn't that amazing? Super sharp. Because it's not tuned to 440 hertz. All right, this needs some serious love. Much like we did before. Basically, it's just a matter of kind of scooting these things forward and crossfading like this. Because I don't want to get rid of those key clicks. They're really nice. And they add a lot of humanity to this. This is literally called the humanity theme. It seems like this, for whatever reason, this final chunk is way too slow. So I'm actually going to use my time compression tool, speed it up. I suppose I have to get rid of this bit here. There we go. But yeah, we're going to use a time compression tool to speed this up quite a bit. If I can figure out. There it is. That's what's going on. You can't time compress over a fade. Let's see if that helps. Okay, so here's what I have to do. I have to split this up into little chunks. And then stretch the whole piece. Of course, do a massive fade out. For this, we might have to do what we did earlier, which is equal gain with the backwards curve. Might be a little too extreme, but you get the idea. There it is. Let's fix this note. This is not going to be a fun one because we have to really stretch the snot out of this one. Let's see if it'll work. Pro Tools is freaking amazing. It just solves everything. Why? I did not think that was going to work. Let me do a crossfade here. This is for the world map. Realm Weaver. Track 2 of the day. I'm going to get through as many of these as I can in the next hour or so. Sounds like the string's breaking. But it's so good. That's so real. I want the buzz to happen later so we don't... There we go. Oh, so cool. Yes. Tell you what, guys, like there's nothing you can't solve in Pro Tools. Love it. And so from here, I'm sure you're hearing that there's some serious pitch issues, but that's just because of the Eastern tuning. It's very sharp. My best guess is it's probably tuned to like 450 hertz. Like 10 cents higher than what our Western ears are used to. So yeah, it's going to be a mess when you're trying to blend these two worlds together. So quick fix for that is Melodyne, pitch shifting, pitch correction. And what it's going to do is just detect. It's going to basically get rid of those 10 cents. And it's not going to destroy it, make it sound like T-Pain, whatever. But it is going to get everything to the same hertz level. Darn, I forgot. One blasted fade out. You always want to do pitch correction last because you can't make any edits after that. So what I want to do is make this a phrase by doing the fade out. Otherwise, that just sounds awful. And a quick way to do this, if you're wondering, is to make the clip end a little bit sooner, make a little gap, and then do a fade out, and then do the same thing, very small fade in on the next clip. Perfect. All right. I like that a lot. Let's get the Melodyne back in here to save the day. Always got to be very careful of blending Eastern and Western instruments. Otherwise, you could have a serious tuning problem. Gosh, that timing helps so much. It was pretty bad. And then all I have to do is select all. Oops. Select all, and then do this little pitch centering, 100%. Do you see how much it changed? Watch it again. See the little red lines? Look at that. It's going down like 10 cents. That's my best guess. And now everything's going to sound glorious. Yeah, dead on. There's also an HG bass. Wow, Chance. I've never used Studio One, but I know you rave about it. I've never seen Melodyne integrated in. That sounds kind of cool. I guess it's about 6 cents off, since we were talking about that earlier. Cool. Yeah, obviously using Pro Tools here today, but normally for composing, I would use, let me fix this real quick. Composing, I would use Cubase. I love Cubase. Really, really love it. I've never tried Studio One, though. I don't really have a need to, but Chance raves about it. Man, that bass adds so much juicy goodness. Ready to get into some fun? So for those of you who have played the Ori games, Ori and the Blind Forest and the Will of the Wisps, composed by Gareth Coker, I actually reached out to Aeralie Brighton, who I've met previously, and she wanted to be a part of this game, and I couldn't be thrilled even more. Do you guys remember that? You remember when I was composing this live with you guys months ago, and I said, man, wouldn't it be so cool if we got Aeralie Brighton on this? And she was up for it, and we did it. Here it is. She's on a bunch of these tracks. But here is her humanity theme portion. And all I'm doing is running it through some B2 to give it some ethereal goodness. Now, of course, I mean, it sounds really cool, but it's not produced. It's very raw. So in order to make this usable, we got to do a lot of fade ins, fade outs to get rid of the breaths, as I just did. I have to get rid of like little glottal attacks. Like that little, that's just her style, and it's fine, but we have to clean it up a bit for this purpose. And we'll do a Melodyne pass at the end once we get all these little timing things to make it as pitch perfect as we can. So here's one of those times where I do think there's some production things we got to do. So before I even throw the reverb on, I do want a little bit of compression, nothing crazy, but let's just use some fab filter here. Let's do a pretty medium threshold ratio. The biggest thing here is making sure the attack is 0 and the release is up a little bit. That way when it gets to those really crunchy moments where she's belting, that's what we want. We want more of like a brick wall. And if we want more dynamics, we can kind of increase these a little bit. Actually, the opposite way. I went the wrong way. That way. See the little line down there? You can visually see what's happening. It's squishing the sound less. So let's get to that moment. Much better. And then final thing here, we do need some EQ. But again, let's do that before the reverb. So we can just doctor it up a little bit, just to make it fit more into the space to where it's not completely dominating. Cool. Then let's throw on Melodyne. Over here. And let's get that in. Oh, Chance, to answer your question earlier about kind of some of the best libraries for percussion, I would highly recommend Heaviosity's Damage if you don't have that yet. I've found that to be probably my biggest go-to more than any other percussion because it's very cinematic. Maybe the Hans Zimmer percussion, but it's pretty limited in its use. It's more for like trailer music and title sequences. I don't know if you do a lot of that with video games. Just a personal thought there. All right, we might need a little bit of pitch drift. It's better help. Let's try it now. Should hear a huge difference. Let's fix that moment. No. Why are we not fixing? I'm confused. No. Is this even doing anything? I'm so confused. Am I in the wrong one? Yes, I'm in the wrong one. My bad. This whole time. If that's not Ori, what is, right? Yeah, Chance, I think Damage is still one of the best. Okay, now here's something I don't do terribly often, but because there was so much happening there, I am going to create just a pitch-corrected version of that Aeralie vocal. Everything turned off in the mixer except for Melodyne. That way I can select just that bit and I can export just that. Something I like to do every once in a while. So this is the Aeralie world map pitch corrected. That way we have it and we're no longer having to deal with Melodyne now that everything's been corrected and the timing and the phrasing is all good, because if you try to deal with too many layers of things, it's not going to be good. So that's all I'm doing is bumping that out. And David, I don't know if Contact will be on sale, but if there ever was a time to be on sale, it'd be now. I'm pretty sure that Contact may not, but the complete series will. So Native Instruments is going to find a way for you to buy their latest and greatest, I'm sure. Okay, so I'm going to make that inactive so I can grab and put this in the right spot. I have so many folders open right now. So this is going to be pitch corrected world map. Let's drag that in. I'm just going to make a new track. Right there. Alrighty. So this is the pitch corrected version. That way I can kind of just gray that one out if I ever need to access it again, but then I can move all of the plugins over from that, which is kind of the whole purpose here. Here it is. So over here on my mixer, I'm just dragging these over, making them active again. And now that should give me all the control I need without having to deal with Melodyne, which is probably for the best. And because these are all stems, I can use it anywhere I want to. I'll probably use it in the second version, which is all plucked strings. Beautiful. You guys are funny. What library are those female vocals from? Aeralie Brighton. I guess that's a good thing that our ears are so used to. Oh, that has to be fake, right? Here's the Dark Soul strings. Yes, Spiral. So, or David, these are the Budapest Strings mixed with all the soloists. I have all the material back now. Now, by far, this is the weirdest track of the day because I'm actually delivering this track as stems. I'm sure for the soundtrack we'll have a mastered version that's some accumulation of these different variations, but I'm trying to create 4 or 5 different variations. That way, depending on what's happening on the world map, for example, if it's, hey, thanks for subscribing, excellent. For example, if it's raining on the world map and you're trying to travel, it's probably going to play. Let me actually mute some things. I love the vocal, but I feel like the vocal is just going to be its own thing all by itself with Dulcimer or something. And I agree that Dulcimer is gorgeous in his. But like if it's raining, it'll probably sound like this because like the plucky raindrops. There's also the so Chance, you're talking about damage. This Armageddon ensemble is from there. And that's me just kind of jamming on the patch. And this could be tone variation too, without any melody at all. This is super Dark Souls right here. This is literally the like copy and paste. I tried to imitate that style. Lots of viola moving notes. That's my favorite thing in the entire soundtrack so far. That right there. Just those little clustery, whatever you want to call them, swells, I guess. And I love that there's so many options here. So I'm going to take some time later off stream to export like 8 different versions of this. That way the developers have some stems to work with and we'll be fine. So let's take a quick 2-minute break. I'll be right back with the next track we're going to be piling into, which is going to be, let's look at my list here. Next is going to be Dead Pines. Don't go anywhere. It's going to be a battle track. It's going to be amazing. It'll be super fun. See you in a sec. Bye. All right, welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining us, we are plowing through the live orchestra and live soloist mixes for Realm Weaver Tactics, an upcoming game, hopefully to be released next year or the following. It's very much early in development right now, but part of this first phase, as we're calling it, phase 1, I was hired for 25 minutes of music, got to record with the Budapest Strings. Now I'm mixing it all together. Just a handful of tracks left to do for phase 1. We had 9 total tracks, 10 if you count one I kind of co-wrote with another composer, Brandon Boone, who's going to be on the soundtrack. Excited for that. And he's much more comfortable in the ambient space. So he's writing like the class menu where you sit there for 5 minutes and pick all your characters. I'm not good at that stuff, so I'm writing the more melodic, the big battle themes, the big like we just did the world map and the little jingle tunes and stuff. That's where I shine. So here we go. Today, moving on, we're on one of my favorite tracks. It's called Dead Pines. And now I have to be honest that if you ever look at the statistics behind soundtracks, the tracks that are the most memorable are actually the slow ones. And I'm not sure how much music you've written, but for games in particular, slow tracks are the hard ones to write. They're the hard ones to orchestrate. They're the hard ones because they just require so much emotional investment, and they're slow, so you have to like go places dynamically. But what's different is with battle tracks, which, yeah, they're a little bit more forgettable. But that was my challenge is, how do I make a battle track that's 5 minutes? This is a 5-minute track, or 4 minutes, I think. That's long, that has a lot of rhythm and energy and never gets tiring. Well, you just got to try, and this is a very interesting challenge because I had to always include Dulcimer and Hurdy-Gurdy, which it's like, what? How do I make those sound good? So let's just jump in. Let's have some fun. Here's the track. This is called Dead Pines, and I have to give a huge shout out to Christopher C.U. Many of you know him. He's in our community, the Become a Game Composer community. Phenomenal orchestrator. If you ever need orchestration work, go hire him because he's incredible. So all of like the inner, and if there's ever like moving parts, it's him. If the viola is doing a really cool inner line, or the violins come and do this cool little thing, it's all him. He converted my piano sketches. These were all piano sketches with maybe a side of some orchestral stuff. But he really fleshed them out, and we worked together. And then later on, Peter Jones, many of you know him. He worked with me on Monster Sanctuary. He did much of the copyist work of converting the orchestral MIDI into actual notes. And then I was the first guy in the process, and then the fourth guy in the process. Then I went in and edited that to my liking, and now here we are, step 6 after, I guess step 5 would be recording. Step 6 is now mixing. So I want to be as involved as I can in the process because I have the creative vision, but I also want to give other people their chance to shine and to do their best work. So anyway, yeah, here we go. This is a ton of fun. Before I go too far, that's the wrong Hurdy-Gurdy. Remember how I talked about earlier how I have to import some tracks. Hold up. Don't get ahead of me. No. Yeah, if you guys remember that, I had an incident where I had the wrong Hurdy-Gurdy because there's multiple pitched types. I had a soprano Hurdy-Gurdy record alto parts, and everything was screwed up. So I have to import the right one. So the correct one should be, what is this? Dead Pines. So we actually have 2 tracks. Let's get them all in there real quick. And you guys are right here with me in the trenches. Let's do it. So we have this really cool drone that I want to just I think drones are where Hurdy-Gurdys shine the best because they're so gritty. Here it is. love it. And I can even do a pitch shift, which I think will make it even more ominous. Like we did last time. Remember that? How I'm going to do 12 semitones down, which is an octave, but I'm also going to, since they're always sharp, I'm going to do -6 cents. Yeah, it's so gritty. So some dulcimer in here. This is a very dulcimer heavy track. And I've already thrown in the violins, which are radically way off at the moment. Let me fix those. Dun 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 dun. Oh, it's such a fun track. So here's what we need, guys. We need, yeah, you guys are like right here in the cutting room floor with me. So we have violins, and like I talked about earlier, I want to make sure that they are, since there's a close mic and a far mic, I want to make sure that they're 6 dB apart at all times. And then I can link them together with the group here. Let me, I'm trying to control like 8 windows right now. So to help us all, let me change my thingy. There we go. Okay. I know you can't see me, but hopefully you can follow along, because I'm going to lose my mind if I don't. Okay, cool. So what we have so far is we have a dulcimer in here. We have Hurdy-Gurdy. And we have the Hurdy-Gurdy drone. Separate recording, because we need that level of control. We have violins, which are now linked together. And we have the cello. So that should be everyone. Am I missing anything? Let me double check, because there's no vocals in this one. Oh, but we need we need all of the percussion tracks that we have for this one. So let me go find that really quick. Boom, boom, bo-do-dum. This one has some cool perk in it. So for this one, Dead Pines. Here are the stems. Hooray! So we have a Celeste. I have all kinds of stuff. We need percussion. You can't see what I see, but I have a lot of stuff. There we go. I'm going to drag all these tracks in. So these are actually all percussion instruments I have sitting right behind me. Which I'll point to in a second. So I have a dudebek, which is a drum. I guess you can't see me at the moment. Hold up. I gotta be honest, guys. The only challenge with Pro Tools is it has so many windows. And trying to stream Pro Tools, I literally need like 4 or 5 monitors to do this justice, but whatever. You can still see me. Hi. So behind me, let me show you real quick. I have things like a tambourine. I have a wood flute that I love to play on ambient tracks. Like that. Create some amazing ambience. I have my drum up here. You can't see it, but this is a dudebek. Really cool for this kind of stuff. And I won't get this one out, but you can also see my horror harp. Did a big deal about that over Halloween. If you guys followed that, that's a free instrument. It was a free instrument for Halloween. Not anymore. It's $50 now. But it's this horrific guitar strung old lap harp, not a laptop. Lap harp that's 100 years old. So it makes this really crooked sound. So you put all that stuff together and you get this. Let me show off the percussion for a moment. But first things first, I really need to get everything lined up. There we go. And I think for my sanity, I think I need to take all the percussion tracks. Let's create a group. We're just going to call it Perk. And that way over here in my grouping bar, I can just select that and it will select all of my percussion by itself. I freaking love Pro Tools, guys. It's so intuitive, I think. Anyway, now I can like take the entire percussion thing and turn them all down because they're all going to be super loud, I'm sure. Sounds like this if I solo. Hey, David, you're talking about the horror harp. Shoot me an email, steven@stevemalin.com, and I'll get you hooked up. Just remind me of why you're emailing me, because you're not alone. The sale ended on November 1st, and all the codes expired on November 1st, and now I literally have like 15 emails right now of people saying, hey, where's my code? It doesn't work anymore, but I'll hook you up. You're fine. Shoot me an email. I know who you are. Oh, yeah, here's the horror harp in all of its glory. Let me solo that. Just a beautiful jank sound. I love it. All right, guys. Also, yeah, I took the wood flute, did lots of little whoo kind of stuff. The Celeste is just kind of jamming over here. Let's see what any of this sounds like all together. Probably garbage. Okay, I know what happened. So when you record with an orchestra, it's important to leave spaces between phrases. That way you can have these cool little reverb tails and you can mix them all in together. So this is one of the beautiful things about Pro Tools is I can select my group down here, select just the orchestra, right? And all I have to do is turn my grid function on. It's the coolest thing in the world because obviously the orchestra recorded to a click. So all I have to do is literally erase that measure, grab everything after it, slide it in, but don't just leave it like that or else you're going to have these weird clippy moments, right? So instead, we turn the slip back on, we do a crossfade to keep all that lush reverb from the hall. Shabam, shabuya, right there. And now everything should be lined up and it should be absolutely gloriously gorgeous. The only thing I have to fix is the violin down here. So let's see. Maybe that'll do it. My grid's all kinds of janky right now. Let's turn it on quarter notes and see what happens. All right, let's get this figured out. Because everything's like a bar backwards now. There we go. See if that works. And here's a little fun composition lesson for anyone listening and still cares. Anytime that you're writing a melodic phrase and you really want to add more energy and oomph to it, do a little a scale run into it. So instead of ya da da dum, which is the power we want, but if you really want to like suck the audience in, do a scale run. Because then it just grabs your attention. So here it is. So I do it here in the violin and the cello. And it just adds so much flair. Has to be in time though, doesn't it? One would hope. During the recording session, I was with the developer and the other music team members, and we joked about this part sounds like This Is Halloween from Nightmare Before Christmas. Yun, dun, 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 dun. Let's add some fun here. So these wood flute moments, I want to put some B2 reverb on there. By the way, if you don't have B2, it's pretty freaking awesome. It's one of the coolest reverbs in existence. I have to find it though. There it is. B2 is not a reverb. It's an EQ effect reverb. So it puts your stuff in crazy spaces, and it can do some really interesting stuff to your music if you're kind of out of ideas. So the wood flute sounds like this. That's so cool. Here it is without it, if you want to hear it without B2 on. It's very plain and I think it's okay. I put a reverb on it, but now if you put B2 on it, like swirls it around the space. But we don't have to stick with the default. We can get some crazy. I mean, this is going to be outside. People are killing each other like in a cavern. So like out in a field. So let's find something that's a little bit more interesting. How about Colorado? Oh, that's so cool. Oh, do you hear that? That's amazing. Like literally sounds like it's a mile away. Yeah. It's like a cool echo. It's so cool, guys. It's so cool. Highly recommend B2 by 2C Audio. Let's see. All right, let's put that back in to the mix. I mean, hey, this track is called Dead Pines. So it's all about you're literally in a field that's been burned down. So it's a bunch of trees that used to be this lush, beautiful place, but now you're like fighting zombies and stuff in this wasteland. So it makes sense to have these like screeching, almost like you said, someone said like ghouls. Tristan said that. All right, so this part is actually in 3/4 time. I want to make sure that that is marked. All right, then we go back to 4. Get more of like a marching type vibe. Okay, so here's another moment where the orchestra is no fault of their own. I had them, leave a space. So we need to do the same treatment. Like that. I found the culprit. Okay, so this bit, I need to do a little surgery to the dulcimer. Which sounds so freaking cool. All of its janky pitch. Oh, okay. I'm trying to figure out where on earth this dulcimer is supposed to go. I just have it in the wrong spot. Still confused. thinking it goes way over here. There it is. There it is. This is dun 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 dun. I'll never ever forget that. Tristan, this is just like the normal battles. Oh, don't worry. We have... Should I show you? Do I dare show you? Can you handle the boss battle? I'll show you real quick. Give me a sec. I've already written the boss battle themes, and we recorded with the live choir. And it's freaking like blow your face off. You ready? Let me pull it up. You guys ready for this? It's called Weaver of Fate. It's one of the bosses. And he's a guy with like a spindle of yarn. He's like think of like the Grim Reaper, I guess. Think of like a Dark Souls boss. It's like a big, nasty, like he is flesh. But he uses, he weaves time, basically. And that's what the whole game's based on. The Realm Weaver. He weaves people's fates. This is called Weaver of Fate. See if I can find it. It's pretty epic. Pretty epic. I'll find one more for you guys. This other one's called Devil's Gamble. Very similar in style. There's more coming. FYI, when a choir shouts, it's one of the scariest things in the universe. Anyway, I could go on, but I'll save that for later. It's pretty cool stuff. Very, very excited about all that. So yes, we're definitely saving the choir for like the crazy over-the-top boss moments. Everything else, so if that's like a 10 or an 11, right? Intensity, the rest needs to be like super quiet and interesting, introspective 1s and 3s. Something like this, a normal battle, which goes on for like 30 minutes, you want it to be more like a 5 or a 7, right? You don't want to kill people's ears, as my ears are like ringing now. That was so loud. But fun fact, that was all written and recorded in infernal language. I'm not big into D&D. The developers are, and they're very, very big. Dungeons and Dragons, infernal. It's a language that is part of the game. It's like this demonic language, whatever. And we did it. We wrote that song. Both of those songs are in infernal. And I believe we're the first humans to ever record songs in those. It's just insane. Side note, do you see how much energy and musicality is added just by throwing in some live percussion? These are just, cheapo objects behind me, like little tambourine shakers and things and little drums, that it just adds so much uniqueness that no one else, there's no sample instrument for that, And what I've learned with sample instruments is they're great to write with, but MIDI, because everything is processed when it's programmed in Contact or wherever, once you use it, there's so much more EQ than you need. There's so much headspace that's taken up. It's very unrealistic. And when you start combining multiple MIDI tracks together, it creates this false artifacts in space. But when you just record a simple little percussion thing, you're getting to hear the room. You're getting to hear the microphone. And it's totally different. Way easier to mix. Was a bad crossfade. There we go. No, I'm not writing a song on Elvish. Spiral, I don't believe that the only thing you could ever have is MIDI. There's always something around you. This right here, this could be an instrument. Right? Or whatever, something. You can always bring in some live elements that are unique to you. Like my dulcimer's off by a bar. Aha, I think I found it. I'm so confused. Ah, that's it. Dekata, dekata. All right, here's another moment where we need to move the orchestra over, and just doing a little crossfade adds so much. Fun time signature changes here at the end. Let's see if we can figure out where this melody goes. Did not expect to get any kind of compression issues. So let me pop over here for a moment. But that's pretty awesome. That's a great problem. It means we have a lot of cool stuff going on. So we definitely need a compressor, but I don't want to squash much, especially all this cool orchestral stuff that's very natural. But it's getting a little out of hand here at the end. Turn this back on. We're almost done with this track. You guys have been very patient. Appreciate you. Let's line these up. It's almost like the these guys are rushing. The orchestra's rushing. It's a fun, fast part. So, you know, it happens. All right, we're very close now. That epic flute doing its thing. Let's try to get the hurdy-gurdy in now. Best we can. Clean this up a little bit. Put it in the right spot. Guess it's this part. Fun little nod. This is the humanity theme from the world map. Oh, yes. I do pitch correction at the end. Violin, cello, and hurdy-gurdy are all they're in tune with themselves, but not with each other. Yeah, this is a toughie. Tough one to mix. So much going on. It's going to be so cool when it's done, though. I'm thinking, I don't know how much I like percussion there. Can always add it back in, I suppose. Seems really off. Some magic here. So this part needs to be much quicker. So let's see what we can do with time compression. Might even work? I don't know. Let's find out. How deep does the Pro Tools magic actually go? Wow. It's actually quite good. Low distorted. In the mix shouldn't make big a difference. Cool. Telling you, there's some magical powers here at work. Just gotta match these. Like it. We just gotta extend these a little bit. Do the same thing here. So we're making everything uniform to where it sounds intentional. Tristan, you can get a job at any age writing music. My first commercial game was Worm Run on iOS, and this was 15 years ago when I was 15. So why the heck not? Maybe I was older, 2005. No, it was 2005. I was 15 years old. Jeez. That's crazy. I got $500. Wasn't much, but to me, that was a lot. Aw, poor Tristan. Blah, blah, blah. So funny how much like 10 cents can make a big difference on these pitches. All right, so really the secret sauce here is to chop up each phrase so we can better line up these grace notes. They sound good by themselves, but they don't match, and that's the danger here. But thankfully we have our time compression tool. We can make quick work of these bad boys here. It's a pretty simple process. You see how it's too slow? Actually, I need to chop these up one more time, like this. Bum, 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 bum. I know it seems a little crazy, but this allows me to match the timing of everything. See how it's too fast? Pitch comes last. It's just crazy. It's the right note, but it's not the right note. That's a tough as nails instrument to play. Ugh, I can't even imagine trying to turn a wheel while pulling strings. It's crazy. Hurdy-gurdy is a crazy instrument. Like that right there, that's totally a Christopher Siu, that cello line. I would never write that, but it's gorgeous. I am so lost in my own music. What is happening? All right, folks. My brain's fried from this track. Let's move on. I'll have to come back. Let me take a quick coffee break. Be right back. I'm literally going to refill my coffee this time. I'll be back in a couple minutes. And then I think I have about, at most, an hour left of energy. And then I'll call it quits. But you guys have been awesome. That's why I started early today, just to get as much done as possible. Let's do it. I'll see you back in a few. Bye. Welcome back to the live composing show. This is a 4-hour bonanza, I guess we're doing here today. Hope you guys are having such a good time. My brain's almost fried, but not quite. Today we're working on Realm Weaver Tactics, trying to mix these live instruments together. And as you can see, it's not just as simple as putting them where they're supposed to go and let it run. I mean, there's a lot of work involved in mixing. But simplicity is always what we need. So here we go. We're now going to work on Audin, which is one of the city themes in the game. This is one of the few places where the music is nice and pretty, but there's always a slight tint of tension and darkness in the air. So it's not completely pretty. It's still a little bit sad. And then if we have time, we'll also tackle Steel and Shadows, which is another battle track. So let's jump in. I was actually just taking a minute to throw some of the tracks in, some of the soloists that we haven't had a chance to look at yet. We're going to jump in here. And Marie asked a funny question. Did I compose the coffee break track? No, I didn't. That's from Epidemic Sound, which I use them. It's like $15 a month to have unlimited access and licensing to all of their music. And so, yes, all the pop tracks you hear on my channel and the podcast are definitely from them. You guys are having some fun discussions. Spiral says, while I was 22, I think there's... right. And while at age 22, I still think there's plenty of time to get things done, achieve my dream. I can't help but feel like I'm playing catch up compared to others who went to college to study music. Spiral, you're fine. You're fine. I mean, I'm 30 and I still feel extremely young. Like I could go start any career I wanted right now and still have a 40-year career. Isn't that crazy? But the same could be true of your age 40 and 50. I mean, look at Morgan Freeman, one of the legendary actors who started at like age 60. You're only bound by your desire, your work ethic. All right, let's do it. I haven't cleaned up this track yet, so I'm just going to do a very brief cleanage. So this one does use some MIDI, but not much. It uses Celeste. I'm even going to type it in. MIDI. I'm going to say perc MIDI and chimes. Or they're called Orc Chimes. I like to put the MIDI at the bottom, below my master. That way we can all see what's going on. I like to take off all of the blank spaces. Something I have not done as well. I need to do a couple things. The only groups I want an orchestra, which is like before, which is all of that stuff, right? All the live Budapest Strings. So this one has some cello. And I actually asked the orchestra to record twice. I wanted them to do concertino, so with the mutes and without the mutes. I did that with the soloists as well, but I think I chose the soloist to stay. I wanted them to keep the mutes off. It made more sense. I also have Auralie's vocal in here, so I want to color code some of these things. That way there's no confusion about what is what. Let me find a nice rich purple for her. And what else we got here? We have cello. The violins I like to make green. You know, the solo violin. Okay. And then I'm also going to do a 6 dB minus on the far mic. Let me do that real quick. Okay. And then we're going to link those together in a group down here. Call it violin. That way they're always stuck together. And what else? We have a hurdy-gurdy melody, a hurdy-gurdy drone, just like before. And for all of those, I like to make those, I don't know, pick a color. We'll do an orangey red today. This is the most uninteresting part of the process, but it is important to organize. Okay, and then we have a dulcimer. Let's just do like a goldish color today. All right, and we are ready to mix some stuffs. So yeah, this is a really pretty town theme. I have no idea what it sounds like, so let's try some stuff. And you'll notice if I always like to play around with the, in Pro Tools, if you hold Alt and Shift, you can actually change the waveforms to make them big or small. It doesn't change the volume, but it lets us see a little bit more clearly what's going on. So right here in the beginning, you can see all this like nasty room noise we want to get rid of. And then I'll do a fade in. And then it looks like later we have Aeralie coming in around here. So getting rid of all of that dead space is really important to maintaining the cleanest mix possible. So I'm going to do a little bit of fade out, fade in whenever those moments happen, like that. And here's my last little coloring. Because if I can't see what's going on, I'm going to have a hard time. I think that'll do. Just like that. Alrighty. Anything else I should look out for? Let me trim up these violin moments real quick. Like this. I like to do fade outs. That way each phrase has its own feel. And even though the musician did their thing, you know, they did their natural crescendos, decrescendos, this just helps everything. And like moments like right there, you can hear like a little bow scrape, that little hit right there. So I'm gonna get rid of that as well. And really let the reverb do its job of getting us in and out. But this is just a nice little subtle bonus. Anytime you can go through and just quickly give it the love it needs. And I'm pretty sure he recorded this twice. Yeah, he recorded this twice. So I'm gonna get rid of the second take. And here we go. Let's see what the heck's gonna happen. I have no idea. I've never heard all of these pieces together. I think we're ready. Okay, a lot of tracks playing at once. Let's find their home. Okay then. So I think the first thing we got to do is there is a break here that I recorded, some silence. All right, this hurdy-gurdy has taken over the show. Not good. So let's do what we did before with our equal gain. Okay. Let's get in there, work on this a little bit. So the cello is way too loud at this moment. We're going to do fade in. Turned out pretty cool. I'm liking this. Haven't heard all these instruments together yet. It's really cool to finally hear this final product. It's pretty awesome. It. So you guys are watching me experiment here. I hope this is helpful in some way. So this hurdy-gurdy drone is just mimicking the cello. It's amazing how similar they sound. You don't like my string mush? Why not? You guys are funny. I know this stuff's out of tune and it's kind of harsh, but this is the work that is necessary. And interestingly, every instrument in this soundtrack is a string instrument. Because technically, Hurdy-Gurdy and Hammered Dulcimer, even though they're like ancient, antique instruments, they are still strings. And they have this, they blend well with the rest of the strings. But yeah, I get it. It's a lot. But that's why in later games and expansions and things, we've already talked about reserving brass and woodwinds exclusively for those. So this is entirely a string soundtrack with choir and percussion. So we're really trying to hold off on using any of those other instruments. Which I think is kind of cool. Where were we? I think we're off to a good start. Let's add some dulcimer. Oh, dulcimer's heavenly. Perfect Halloween track. Hurdy-Gurdy is just, you have to be so meticulous with these phrases because it can be so nasally. Cool, I love that. Lovely. Terrifying and lovely. Makes you want to leave that town real quick. Do any of you remember the statue level from GoldenEye 007? I haven't thought about this till right now. Absurd connection, I know, but that feels like that level. I don't know what about it does. Also have some Aeralie ad-libs in here. I think would be fun to play with. Like this. All right, we're making some good progress on this. This is sounding so cool. Let's figure out this drone. See ya, Tristan. I got max of 30 more minutes. I think I'm going to keep chugging away at this. This has been fun. Thanks for hanging out. Come back and watch the replay. All right, so a quick mix tip here. If you start to peak, a very quick and easy way of doing this is to hit this all group button in Pro Tools. And now what I can do is I can go to my mixer. I can literally take any knob and crank it down, and everything is going to go down with it. Then I can turn the all button off and fix my master, put it back on 0. And now everything has been decreased and it's not going to be so loud. So here is... Can we call it the final? Are we actually at the final point? Maybe. Let's listen from the beginning. Bet you this dulcimer is a bar off. Sure feels that way. I feel like all that's left here is to do a little bit of Melodyne work on the Hurdy-Gurdy. I think it really needs that pretty bad. Let's do that. Let's get that in. Pop these in real quick. Punch in the major moments. Gotta love those crunchy chords. Those are on purpose. All right, much needed pitch love. And there we go. That's going to help so much. I'm actually going to suggest, I don't know, I feel like might be better off without the violin here. Kind of clashes with the Hurdy. All right, my friends, let's take this last 20 minutes and focus on the final track, Steel and Shadows. I can live with this right here. I'll have to spend more, details on some of those things, but let's finish by opening up the last of the day, Steel and Shadows, the final battle track for now, phase 1. And let's see what we can do with this bad boy here. Man, you guys have been awesome hanging around all this time. I don't know how I've done it. But let's open up. I need to throw in a few things. First of all, I need to throw in, let's see, Hurdy-Gurdy. This is Steel and Shadows. Yeah, we need new tracks. So let's grab the new ones, because remember the Hurdy-Gurdy fiasco of 2020. So we have those. We also need Steel and Shadows cello. So this one is HG Melody. This one is HG Drones. I believe everyone plays on this one. Let's get Violin, Steel and Shadows. Man, I'm surprised I haven't put any of these in yet. That's just the nature of being busy. Okay, Steel and Shadows. Let's do -6 for the violin far. Go ahead and make those right at 6. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just kind of organizing my tracks here. I'll go ahead and pop it into this view. So this one is violin close, violin far. Let's turn those into a group. Okay. Those will live up here. And then, what else we got? So HG, let me make sure all those are colored appropriately. This is another really cool, fun track. I think you'll like this one. Okay, cello. I like to put him up here. And then what am I'm missing the Hammered Dulcimer. Let's grab that. We'll be good to go. It's like a really fast track too. It's a lot of fun. All right, I think we're in business. I think we're ready to go. First things first, let's turn down Dulcimer. It's always super loud. Strings are already taken care of. What am I missing? Cool. I think we are ready to roll. All right, let's do it. Fun friends. All right. Oh, I'm forgetting something, folks. I'm forgetting the stems for this one. I'll grab those real quick. This is Steel and Shadows. Let me grab the stems. So we need chimes. Oh man, all kinds of stuff on this one. Chimes, horror harp, spirit bells, wood flute, percussion, and we got some choir shouts. Those are all MIDI. Let's throw those in. And group those together as perk. So these are called Orc Chimes. It's pretty similar to the other battle track. Same instrument set. So really the only MIDI here, let's see, are these guys. So Orc Chimes, MIDI, Voices of War, MIDI. I know, there's a lot of setup here, and I apologize, but it's just part of the game here. Setting stuff up. Not the most fun thing in the world, but helps us out later with our clip gains and all that kind of stuff. Certainly helps me out down the line. And if I remember correctly, the wood flute we were just playing around with earlier, I want to keep that same haunting vibe. So yeah, we're going to do B2. And we had the, what was it called? Colorado, right? There it is. And we did pretty low. Something like that. Let's listen to just the wood flute. Just wait, guys. We're building. We're going to do it. How about you guys? My ears are starting to hurt. Almost done. All right, guys. My ears are officially dead. This has been fun, but, 4 hours of pounding through loud strings, just, need a break, right? So I'm going to end it here. But yes, that was Steel and Shadows. It's a cool track. I don't even know where all the solos go, so I'm going to have to come back to this for sure. Making a note right now. But cool, guys. Thank you so much for being a part. This has been a lot of fun. This is just part of it. You gotta take breaks. You gotta come back to stuff like this, especially when it's super meticulous. Otherwise, you just get burnt out. So I'm gonna give myself a whole day. I'll probably come back tomorrow and just take a break, right? But now most of the things are in place to where it should make sense. And not listening through headphones is also a great way to not have ear fatigue. Switching from your monitors to your headphones. So anyway, thanks for hanging out. Last 4 hours. Those of you who could make it. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. As mentioned before at the beginning of the stream, 16-bit toolkit bundle, which is one of my new instruments with Simple Samples Audio. It's 80% off right now with audio plugin deals. So take advantage of that while it's hot. And it's really exciting stuff. And if you haven't checked out my latest course at becomeagamecomposer.com, it's called Game Composer's Guide to Finding Work Online. So if you are ready to start earning income as a game composer and to earn $69,000 plus per year, which is the industry average as a game composer working from home as a freelancer, it's totally doable. Take some time to get there, but walk through those 10 steps and I'll help you do it. So if you guys have a wonderful day, thank you so much for being a part. This was a lot of fun. I'm exhausted. I'm going to take a break. Love you all. See ya. Bye.